Welcome to the Girlfriends Guide to Senior Living. I'm Gail Peacock.
And I'm Lori Williams.
And we are so happy you could join us. We're passionate about helping families navigate the senior living maze. Each episode, we will share with you our knowledge of senior living and help you to eliminate the uncertainties you face in the search for senior resources.
Hey, girlfriends, welcome to the show. Today, we are going to be talking about difficult conversations with our loved ones and overcoming hurdles. So we're going to cover 3 topics: open communication versus confrontation, those hurdles, and when they won't listen.
Our parents always tell us to listen to them. What happens when they don't listen to us? Dun, 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 dun. So our first topic we're going to hit on today is open communication versus confrontation. So we want to talk about, how we all want to be heard and we all want to be valued. We don't want to be judged on what our thoughts are or what we've done in our past. So let's remember to be respectful with all these conversations, and they are our parents and they want to be respected, and they're due that.
Absolutely, I agree. So, sometimes it's hard to have that conversation. There's things that come up. And so for an example, we're going to use hearing loss. And I think most of us can relate to that. We have a mom, a dad, a grandpa, someone in our life who doesn't want to wear their hearing aid. And so we need to kind of get to the bottom of that. What's going on? And Gail has a great example she's living. So go for it.
Yeah. So when, you come in the house and the TV's really loud and all of a sudden you're in there and you're saying hello and you're trying to, talk over the TV, right? So we get really anxious. We get annoyed. We start screaming. And instead of having the conversation of, why aren't you wearing your hearing aid? And why is the TV so loud? And trying to find the remote. And you're just so anxious the whole time. I think we need to kind of take a step back. Again, open communication when you have the right time to sit with that person and say, listen, what is it about your hearing aids that you don't like? Are you not comfortable to wear them? Are they bothering you just in with the background noise a lot of times?
Is there some feedback that maybe it needs to be adjusted?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, is it just that they forget to put them in? I mean, that sounds kind of silly, but I think sometimes it's just you're not in the mood, and so you're like, I'm just going to be home today, I don't need them. So, again, versus coming in and attacking them, you're going to hear us talk about that a lot, and us coming in and attacking them about what's so wrong, kind of taking that moment, take a deep breath, and really sit down and have that one-on-one conversation.
Have a conversation rather than attacking.
Yes. So something else that we want to remember is we're quoting them our 3 A's, right? So we're going to become aware, we're going to acknowledge what we see, what the issues are, and then what actions that we do need to take. So again, no anger, try to not become emotional and kind of take the emotions out of it, make it more of a factual conversation, which can be hard. We get it.
Absolutely.
It can be a hard conversation and hard to keep your wits about you, but that's the only way we really get answers, even with our kids, right? We don't do well when we're up on them and yelling at them and expecting all these things. It doesn't work that way.
And, the big topics, the elephant in the room conversation. So we want to talk about that. Those are the ones that are really impacting their health, their lives. And so kind of an example, and this is, sadly, it is a story I've heard, and Gail, I'm sure, has heard too, over and over. It's not an unfamiliar story, but a lot of times you have a couple, husband and wife, and the wife has dementia. And maybe as a child you know that there's some dementia, but you don't know the extent because dad is covering it up. He's taking care of her. He's minimizing what's going on. Doesn't want you to worry. And then what happens is the caregiver typically has all the stress, and unfortunately the caregiver becomes ill or worse. So what happens is dad goes to the hospital, and then you realize, oh my goodness, mom is not able to dress appropriately. She's not bathing. She's not brushing her teeth. She may even have some behaviors. That's a 911 situation.
That's kind of like ripping the curtain, It's that whole thing of like Wizard of Oz, and you take that curtain away and you're just like, what? Like, how haven't I seen this? And why don't? But they do cover up really well. I mean, usually they've been married a long time. And they cover up very well for each other.
Yeah, because they don't want, I mean, it comes from a lot of different things. They don't want them to be embarrassed about it, maybe. They don't want the kids to worry.
They don't want to move out of the house.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
It is important, yes. Something else that maybe would not be 911 would be, maybe they just need help like writing checks and keeping up on the bills. And, your bank, you can go and meet with them and they can set up direct deposits. They can set everything up online that you don't have to do much. You tell them when to take the money out and they do it, right? So it's less memory on your part, and it's less things to have to be on a checklist that they have to remember and burden their mind with.
Yeah. Another elephant moment would be, and this is another common one we hear, mom and dad are living at home, dad is falling, maybe he's unstable, he has neuropathy, something's going on, but he's falling, and they're calling 911. And, sometimes they're calling 911 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So
and the firemen are like, oh, it's 222 again on Main Street, we're not going.
Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem. And that is 911. You need to make some changes because they'll start charging you to come out.
Yeah.
Another one that's kind of could be either way, really, 50-50, is, I had a family that they were going to be moving on to some type of senior living, and they got in the house, the family did, and they were hoarders. And this had been something that was hidden for a long time, and they had stuff everywhere. So where do you turn? And yes, there's companies that will come in and help you with that, but it is overwhelming to know you didn't know this part of your family, and all of a sudden you're being hit like right in the face about all these things you have to put into place to make this happen, to sell the house, to get it ready. And so there's a process that needs to take place, and a plan needs to be put in place.
And I mean, you're emotional, and you're probably embarrassed about it too.
Yes,
it would be. You're sad maybe and guilty that you didn't see it, but it happens. Just any kind of like a change in a daily routine.
Definitely.
Also.
We'll notice, sometimes it's your personal hygiene, or you're not really wearing your matching clothes anymore. They're kind of mismatched, or they're dirty.
The same clothes over and over.
True, and they don't realize. They're kind of forgetting to eat. So these are also signs that we can really, that's a change to them. They're not hungry anymore. They just don't want to go through the effort to have to make something just for themselves. Eating for one is an issue. Or maybe they just need some type of mobility, a cane, a walker. That's a change to their daily routine. So they have to think about it, right? Now you have to think to grab the cane to go to the restroom, or grab the cane before you go out to have lunch with your friends. It's just changes to their daily routine. And we need to talk about those things and what can enhance them to be able to still, be able to be independent.
Home. Yeah, either stay home or maybe have that conversation to go to senior housing. So
definitely.
So some opening questions to kind of see how they're feeling, kind of test the waters. We like to kind of give you some things. So like some questions you might ask them would be like, what do you wish you could change right now? Maybe they want to stay in their home. Like Gail was saying, we take some actions to help them stay in the home. So that's a good opening line with them.
Yeah, and just maybe you haven't had any dialogue, or maybe you have throughout the years. The dialogue changes, I think, year to year. So maybe catch up on a little bit of that, and what if they've changed any of their aspirations. Something else is another question to ask is, and how about envisioning your next 2 to 5 years? How do you see yourself? The future, if you will, if we could tell the future. And maybe, again, something that you've talked about before, maybe you have some insight to this so that it can kind of help you through this conversation. But even maybe start with yourself. Like, start sharing, how do I see myself in the next 2 to 5 years? And,
that's a great idea.
My kids are going to college. Like, what does my life look like? And then say, hey, how do you envision your next 2 to 5 years? So it's more of a conversation again versus like, so how do you feel about the next 2 to 5 years? And
exactly.
It's more on
putting
the ball,
them on the spot like that. Yeah, you don't want to do that. And then you want to find out what are those things that are just non-negotiables for them that they feel very strongly about. And so for me, I have had that conversation with my mother, and I know that she and her husband want to stay in their own home as long as possible. They have long-term care insurance, and they can bring in home care when they need it. And then they don't want to leave Baton Rouge where they live, that area. So that's not going to happen. So I know that these are the things that they feel strongly about. So, if the time comes that they need some kind of help, I know that I'm going to look in that area because I want to respect their wishes.
Definitely. And you want to make them make this transition easy. So why would you want to tackle having a move when you know
Exactly.
that you know what their wishes are?
Yeah.
Another one that I've had the same conversation with my parents, and my mother will not leave. She does not want to leave the home. She wants to stay there, and my dad would leave. He's more social. He needs more people in his world, if you will, and he wouldn't be afraid, kind of like we talked about on past episodes, of being the ambassador of a community. My dad would be the ambassador, right? He would want to meet people. He loves that socialization piece. So
Yeah, I wonder where you got that.
I know. There you go. I am my father's child. But those questions, they seem kind of like, I know that question, but really think about it. Do you really know the answer to that? And have you had that conversation recently?
Yeah, and it's a way just to just converse with them, not be attacking in any way, just having a natural conversation. We also, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say another one is like finances, right? So this can be a really tough conversation. Who wants to be judged on how they spend their money?
Yeah.
No one. Whether it's us, our kids, we give them $20 and we say, "Where'd you spend your $20?" They almost are like, "Why are you asking me? You gave it to me."
Yeah.
So it's a very uncomfortable situation. No one wants to be judged on how they spend their money.
Yeah.
Everyone manages it differently.
Well, and they may have made some bad investments. They may have gone through a divorce. It's just really, they're not easy conversations to have, but it's best to have those conversations now. Also, I wanted to back up that we want to make sure that they're also educated, which is the purpose of this show. When we're having conversations about moving forward with them, we don't want them thinking, oh, it's just a nursing home, which we've said that over and over. So we want to make sure that they know they're not stuck. There are options that can bring into their home or to move to senior housing. But back to resources, finances, again, that's a tough conversation. Best to have them now instead of, for an example, again, one that is very common, say Dad always did the finances. He knows all the money. Mom stayed in the dark about it because, just kind of that era, she doesn't want to know.
He handles the bills.
He does the bills. She doesn't have a clue what they have, and he has a stroke. He's in the hospital. He can't communicate. He can't tell you what his wishes are, what the money is. She has no idea. She's emotional. She's panicking. It's a bad situation to be in.
And if you've never had the conversation, just think of all the kids and what happens. We all start arguing because no one has the answers. So everyone's kind of put out, and everyone just gets hyped up.
Yeah.
So it makes it really hard for everybody.
Yeah.
And so something that we really want you guys to go and think about is, do you know what the budget would be, really?
Yeah.
If this happened to, like Lori's story, if that happened, do you know what your budget would be? Do you know if you could qualify for the VA benefit, aid and attendance? Could you qualify for that extra money? Do you have a long-term care insurance policy? Do they, I guess, have that?
Yeah, these are the questions that you need to ask them. And you don't need to have it, down to the penny, but you need to have an idea, because when you if you were to come to me and ask me, okay, I need to find assisted living. All right, okay, so I'm going to ask you these questions. What is their income? What's their Social Security? Do they have a pension? Do they have any kind of retirement? Do they have savings? Long-term care, VA, we're going to ask these questions. So you really need to make it easier on yourself, kind of have a little snapshot of what's going on financially.
And that snapshot can change. As we said, what does your 2 to 5 years look like? If we had this conversation today and then 5 years from now, it's going to be a different conversation.
Yeah.
Health issues might be coming up. You never know where their financial, stocks or whatever. So it is something to touch on. I would say every couple of years. What do you think?
I would totally agree, because, stock market's up and down, and things happen. So I would agree.
Another idea here is to kind of talk about what their new living situation looks like for them, right? Is it staying at home? Is it going to independent living, assisted living? So kind of having, making sure what's right for them, and you're putting those plans into place. Again, this is a conversation. This isn't that you're having, you're going to be going to assisted living, you're never moving in with me. That's not what this is. This is still, remember, open communication.
Educating. So, and that's the whole, we say that over and over for this show, but we want people to be educated and know that there are other options out there. So, knowing the difference
true.
between 55 plus, independent, assisted living. It's not just a nursing home, guys, you know?
Right. And knowing that, again, you do your homework. So if all of a sudden they said, yeah, I'd kind of like to go look at what an independent living community looks like. And you can go and do your homework. Obviously, we're all on our phones and we can do quick homework. But again, like Lori says, reach out to your experts because we're experts in what we do. Just like we're not going to do our own taxes, we're going to go to an expert, right? So it's the same with this process and this journey.
Yeah.
You need experts that know the business and know the right ways to follow it because this is very emotional. So is paying your taxes, but it is very emotional.
Painful.
So yes.
Well, and as Gail said, in that 2 to 5 year plan, it doesn't hurt to go out and tour an independent living community just to see what it's all about. That doesn't hurt at all to kind of have a backup plan. So other thing we want to talk about is, we want to ask questions like, no, they don't want to leave their city. Know that, that they don't, some people do not want to live with their kids. They don't want to be a burden on them. Me personally, growing up, my grandmother lived with us half the time. She went between our family and then my aunt's family. And 30 plus years ago, there weren't a lot of senior options like there are now. And my grandmother, was in not the best financial situation, but we enjoyed it. I loved, we were talking about this. Oh, this is my grandma. This is Emelita, and this was at her 100th birthday party, and pink was her favorite color.
It runs in the family.
Yes,
we all like pink.
We love pink.
Yes.
And she passed away at age 101. She had dementia, and she is my inspiration. This is what really drew me into senior living, and I love it, and I'm glad that I'm sharing her.
And you have some longevity there, 101,
Sure
Lori.
do.
You better
And-
get ready.
and some dementia. So let's not, let's not think about that, okay?
The good and the bad, the good and the bad.
Yeah, it kind of balances out. So, but that's another option. Some families, they do have grandparents living with them, and if it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine too. But another, a trend that we're seeing are multi-generational homes that are being built, and they're built with like a suite, an add-on suite for the, mom, grandma, grandpa to live in, or like a larger living space, and they're actually pretty cool. So there's some going up near where we live. So.
And they can still have like privacy, so they can have their own entrances, I've seen.
Yeah, they have kitchens, like a little apartment.
It is a little apartment,
It's
but
super
you're
cool.
still under one roof, if you will. And so we can maybe do some focus on that in future episodes about what all that
Exactly.
really looks like.
Just more and more options.
It
I
is.
love
And
that.
my grandmother, my dad's mom lived with us our whole life, us three girls. So we were very, like we were talking, it was very normal for us to have our grandma living with us. But yet you got into junior high and you're like, what do you mean? Your grandma doesn't live with you?
That's so true.
And it was so odd. And we got to eat different food because she was from Europe. And so she made different things. And my friends would come over and be like, what is this? These apple slices are the best, flaky, la, la, la. And so, we kind of were able to experience that. We didn't know we were different in a good way, but we were. And so having that longevity, a friend that I just ran into actually on my last business trip, she was telling me her story about her grandfather who lives with her and her kids, and he's 95. And Wednesday night is their date night. And so they go out and they have drinks and they watch if there's a game on or whatever. He loves sports. And that's their night. They go and visit. There's no interruptions. So her kids are benefiting like we did from having your grandparents living with you.
Priceless memories.
And having those like stories that we don't know what it was like in the 1920s and all that. So we don't know. We don't know what all those things are, and it's really nice to be able to share those moments. And I think people miss out when they aren't able to. So we're very blessed that we were, and those people out there. Good job. Good job.
We're with you.
So we're going to move on to our second little part here, is those hurdles, right? So we all know this is not as easy as we make it sound.
No, it's not.
There's a lot of hurdles that we need to get over and try to discuss with friends, your girlfriends, us, share and be able to really try to figure out how do we get around this to still make it a good decision.
We fall into those family roles, and we find that a lot, talking with families. There's disagreement between siblings, and you can sometimes fall back into those childhood roles.
Yes.
So that happens.
Yes, and what was your role? Was, your brother's an accountant, so he should be doing the finances, but really, is he the right person that, maybe he had issues with his parents or something, that he's not the right one to
Or
deal
maybe
with
he
the
has
finances?
no patience and
Yes,
he
with
yells
this.
at them,
Yes, again.
His patience with other people, but maybe not with his family,
Right.
which that happens.
It does, and you know what? It's okay, and
It
we
is.
need to figure out what's the best and not going to be confrontational, which is what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Another one is maybe you were more of the, silly one of the family, and now all of a sudden you have to talk real serious conversations, and those are hard to have because when you go back to your family, it's not about you being the silly one anymore.
Yeah, maybe your family's not seeing you as this professional, educated woman. They're seeing you as, you were the
joker, the one that used to put those little buzz things on when you shake your hand.
Did
you know what I mean?
Did you do that?
I did not do that.
Okay.
I could have done other things, like lock people in rooms, but I did not do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, there's those things. Family dynamics, just, I mean, they rear their ugly heads. I mean, there could be fights that there were that, that come to a head again.
Yes.
Things that have happened. And so we get it a lot. We have people that are not on the same page. We have one sibling who's saying we need to move mom, another sibling, oh, she's fine, there's nothing wrong. So it's kind of like getting everyone together.
And sometimes our job being on site, that's our job, is we kind of are the middleman. We bring everybody together. And so we hear the brother that's out of town who thinks mom's fine.
Yeah.
The other one that is out of town that has no clue. So we're the ones that kind of can bring all that together, which I think is huge. And our next kind of topic goes along exactly with that, is don't rock the boat, right? So we go back to our old places in our family, and we don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to be, I promise that I never move mom into a senior living community. I promise that, you made that promise to them and you're going to live at it.
Exactly. Also respecting our parents' privacy and being respectful that maybe they didn't spend their money or save their money like you would have done. Let's not judge them. If they open up to you and tell you, well, I fell victim to a scam and lost money, don't go, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. That's the worst thing. They've opened up to you. It happens. Unfortunately, there are people who prey on seniors and are very tricky. That's what they do, and that
they're professionals at it.
They are. They really are, and it's very sad. So that is something that can happen, and they may be very embarrassed by that. And if they do open up to you, just please, treat them with respect and kindness.
And really, in your family, nobody wants to be the bad guy, right?
Yeah,
nobody wants to be the one that's going to hold people, I'm going to say, to the fire. Nobody wants to be that person. No matter what your role is, no one wants to. But somebody's going to have to step up and be able to take that and do what's right at that moment.
Exactly. And, kind of the last point, just really let's assess the situation. Don't jump to any rash conclusions. When they open up to you, listen, be respectful, and, we'll make a plan and get everyone on the same page, get all the siblings, everyone on the same page, and move forward with it.
And our last topic is going to be about, so what happens when they don't listen, right? It puts us as the family, adult children, whichever, in a really awkward position.
Yeah, and their decisions can impact us, have consequences. And we were talking about this earlier. And so, for example, if they decide they're not going to take their medication, so like a high blood pressure medication, if you're on high blood pressure medication,
that's a problem.
You need to take it as directed.
Yes.
And sometimes they say, I'm not going to take my medication, stop taking their meds. Well, the consequence of that is a stroke. And a stroke is a whole game changer, So that's a consequence that's going to affect everyone. So take your medication.
And and also it's kind of, they are afraid maybe to listen because they want to keep their independence.
Yeah.
They don't want people to know if they are depressed or if their finances are out of loop, if you will. So what is that exactly? It is that they're going to resist, and they're not going to want to talk about, none of us want to talk about things that we don't want to talk about, right? So it's nothing different from us.
Well, and again, kind of, it just made me think of this, circling back to the medication, maybe also have that conversation. Maybe there's a reason they're not taking it. Maybe they're having a side effect, and then they're not sharing that with you. I just thought of that. That happens all the time. So that, again, having those open conversations and having them feel comfortable talking to you also. So,
and it's kind of like, don't beat a dead horse. Try to pick the right time. If the topic is whatever the topic is, and they don't want to listen right now, don't just keep going at it and going at it, because you're not going to get anywhere, and you're going to be frustrated.
Yeah, pick your battles.
So pick your battles, It's like, just like your kids, you can't fight over everything, or all you'll be doing is fighting, right, when they're in their teenage years. So let's make sure that we choose which fights are the 911s that we talk about.
Exactly.
Which ones are important.
Those elephants. So, and then, also best of all, I'm really, as I'm talking to the adult daughter who's watching this, or son, we want you to find resources to help you. So you're going to need to turn to your girlfriends, find a support group, and we can help you with support groups. Maybe church groups, and of course we're here for you. That's why we're making these shows and this education. So tune into the Girlfriends Guide and listen to the information we're sharing with you.
You're not alone in the journey.
No.
And so even though a lot of people don't want to share that they're having family dynamics, it's very normal. And so we're here for that. Kind of our last thought process here is we have to remember to treat our loved ones as the adults they are, right? They're not kids, and we can't treat them like that. Yeah. And depending on what the roles are reversing, it doesn't matter. But let's remember that we need to treat them like the adults that they are.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So, girlfriends, we know this is a challenging topic. It's not easy to talk to our parents about these things, but it's very important, and it's something we have to do. We have to go there. We have to have those conversations. And just remember that we're here for you. We are a resource for you, and we hope that you will tune in and listen to other episodes and contact us. We have resources and experts that can help you along the way.
I think it'll pay off if you can have these conversations earlier.
Absolutely.
I promise you that as things roll, you'll think about this and say, thank you that I did that, and I got that little gentle nudge to have these conversations, because it will make a different impact for you.
Absolutely, I agree. So our next episode is going to be keeping your brain active through lifelong learning, and we've got some great stuff coming for you there. So hope you will tune in, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We have these new adventures that we're going on, Girlfriends on the Road. So
check us out, follow us, share with your friends.
Yeah, you never know where we're gonna
end up.
You never know what's gonna happen.
Because we got the pink Cadillac, plush velvet seats.
She's a singer, not me.
We appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As your girlfriends, we'd love to hear from you. Each episode will feature new questions. Don't keep it a secret. Share us with your friends. We're on Facebook, YouTube, podcast platforms, and even in your Alexa. See you.